Hi everybody.
We are the littles. I don't know the other
Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about a new foundation. I'm a little bit late to the game, but I want to share my thoughts on the Pat McGrath Foundation myself. So I ordered the Pat McGrath Labs foundation. I didn't get the other products that came with it, so this video is just going to be about this foundation. I used the Sephora Shade Finder to choose my shade, and I have actually worn this foundation a few times this week. I decided to do it this way and probably will do more of my foundation reviews like this because sometimes I can be a little bit harsh on a first impressions. After I wear a foundation for a while, sometimes my opinion of it changes because your skin is always changing. The weather's changing. You're using it with different primers, different powders, and that has an impact on how well the foundation holds up. So sometimes I like to go ahead and wear the foundation for a few days before I come and talk to you guys about it. That way I'm not overly harsh and have regrets about whatever I've told you about the foundation. So let's get into this review. I'm going to start with primer water, and I'll just take my Sapphire Beauty Blender that I have had for a while. I bought a beauty blender set over the holidays, and this is the only one I've used so far. It's mainly because I don't use beauty blenders every day anymore because it just takes longer sometimes, so I don't use them all the time anymore. Even though I like them, I just need something faster. Today I'm choosing to use this Too Faced Hangover Primer. I've used it with this and I like it, but it works just as well with my YSL Touche Eclat primer that you guys know I love. And I also tried it with the Lancome La Base Pro, and it worked well with that. This is just the one that I'm choosing to use today because I don't always use it as much on camera, and I just decided to switch it up. I wish I could do those pretty makeup faces that other people do, like this. I don't do that though. I'm like this. Alright, I also have been like still addressing my pores because that's what I would normally do. So we're going to use this Bye Bye Pores primer, and I just use a small amount of this. This is kind of like the Benefit Professional does similar work as that. I don't want sheer coverage, so I'm not going to apply it with my fingers. I don't want that. I will use the beauty blender instead just so we can see if it'll work with the sponge because most of us are using a brush or a sponge. I'm also using the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Skin Brush. So we'll use a beauty blender on the right side and we'll use the brush on the left side of my face. So this is the box, and as many people have already said, it is very luxurious looking. It's just a beautiful box with the gold and black. It's just very stylish. And the foundation bottle also very luxurious, very heavy. It's a frosted glass bottle. It's very nice, and it does come with a pump. So beautiful packaging, of course. It's $68. I'm a borrow Jackie Ina dollars. And my shade is medium 18. And this one came up a couple of times to match my Makeup Forever as well as my Charlotte Tilbury shade. So I selected it, but I felt like it might be a little light, and it kind of is, but it does work. So I'm going to pump it here so you guys can see how runny and liquidy it is. See there? And see how light that is? I know. So that was one pump on the back of my hand, and we'll go in with the brush first since that's what they recommended, and we'll just start applying it on the left side of my face. And see, it's a little light, but it will blend out, and it will look fine by the time I'm done, guys. But I probably would have selected another shade had it been in store. I don't want to go through the trouble of returning it and ordering it if it does work. And it says that it is a long-wearing, customizable foundation that builds from sheer to medium coverage in a wide range of universal hues that manifest the ultimate sublime skin standard. It disappeared a little bit on my skin, even though it's a little light. That is one pump with the brush. So let's try the Beauty Blender, even though they didn't suggest it. We're gonna try it. Mother's first ever foundation feels serum soft to the touch while delivering controlled, easily buildable coverage. Diamond Core Powder technology improves skin texture, optically smoothing and blurring the appearance of fine lines and imperfections. This was one pump on each side of my face, so it's really like 2 pumps. If you are sheer coverage or just a light coverage type of person, if you just want to kind of smooth imperfections, then this is enough. I need a little more. I'm going to use the brush. I just want you guys to kind of see what it looks like with a Beauty Blender. So you can make this work with a Beauty Blender, but I think I prefer the brush. So I'm going to go back and use the brush to apply one additional pump. I'm gonna try to stick to areas where I need additional coverage and see if I can just stretch out one more pump and not have to use more. But that's a little concerning that it takes, you know, a little bit more to get the coverage you may want. So just keep that in mind. And I know it's light. I know it looks light, especially with that extra layer, but you know, I'm gonna work it out by the end. Give me time. Now most everything is covered. I feel like I have a lot on my face. Like adding that extra pump made me feel like I have a lot on my face, but I also know that it wasn't covering. Just so you guys know, like I've been enjoying this foundation the last week using it, and I haven't used 3 pumps, but I used an extra one today just so you guys could see how it builds and see what the coverage is even with 3 pumps. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I would just use 1 or 2 pumps, 2 pumps typically. I'm gonna try to use my Beauty Blender to see if I can smooth it out and shear it out a little bit more without removing that additional coverage. Let's just go ahead with concealer, guys. We're gonna use Tarte Shape Tape today. I'm gonna try to be light-handed with concealer. Try. I'm filming earlier in the day and I have my window open, and so I'm getting lots of bright light, but that's making me look even whiter. And again, remember, I would have selected a deeper shade. For my summer self, I would have selected something deeper, but this was the shade it chose for me. So I'm just gonna go with it because summer's approaching an end, and I know that this will work better for me in the wintertime. Because it's not in store, it will take me so many tries to get my summer shade. I just know it will. And we're gonna go back over everything with the Beauty Blender just to blend it all in. We're gonna use our trusty Laura Mercier to set the concealer areas. I like this finish. It's a natural finish. It's not super matte to me. It may look dewy on camera. I think once you add powder, it kind of mattifies everything, and it does exactly what it says. It's a natural finish. But at first it looks a little more dewy. So if you choose not to set it with the powder, I don't know what it might look like. Okay, so we're gonna just go with Laura Mercier because I know what this one does for me. I like it. I'm not gonna buy every powder or every primer that comes out with a foundation. I just can't do it, guys. A $68 foundation has expensive primers and powders too. I'm gonna use the Medium Deep Translucent by Laura Mercier as well. This really helps me, especially when I have on a foundation that's too light. So this is what I look like with just my powder and the foundation and concealer on. I know it's still light, so wait until I finish the look before you pass judgment on the shade match, because I know it's too light. But again, I went with the shade finder. Sorry. But notice though, it's very smooth. It doesn't look as cakey now that I've added powder. It looks a little bit better. But it still is definitely medium coverage, guys. If you have blemishes or anything like that, it's going to peep through unless you put a lot of it on. And if you have to build it up to get to full coverage, you might as well just buy a full coverage foundation. So if you're a person that likes every spot, everything covered on your face, you're not gonna like this. It is light on the skin for the most part. Like when I've been wearing it, it has felt very light on the skin. I like that runnier consistency. I have one thing to say about this foundation that I've been loving about it. So regardless of how it applies at first or the coverage or anything, there's one great benefit that I've noticed with this foundation. So we'll talk about it once I complete my face. I'll tell you guys what that is. It's 1:30, so I can actually do a wear test and wear this 8 hours or so. So we'll see how it holds up. So let me finish my look. I'll come back, check in with you guys, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, everyone, so I'm back and I've completed my makeup look, and as you can tell, the color match is a little bit better now that I have bronzed as well as contoured. I don't have everything over here with me, but I use the Kevyn Aucoin powder, that little small powder that I love, to sculpt with just a little bit here as well as my nose. I use my Becca Ipanema Sun bronzer to bronze with today. I also have on the Too Faced Ginger Peach. This is Peach My Cheeks in Ginger Peach, and I use that as the blush. I don't have my highlighters over here, but I have on two. I have on my Dior highlighter in Nude Glow, and I'm wearing the Master Chrome in Peach from Maybelline. And I went back to my Colored Rain eyeshadow palette, an oldie but goodie, but I went back to that for my eyeshadow look. And I also have on a little bit of the little Nude Mini palette by Natasha Denona. I use that to highlight my inner tear duct as well as highlight my brow bone. So I also have that on. And my lip is the Ooh by ColourPop. It's the little peachy orange color. And I also topped that with my Sugar, and I put a little bit of this Sephora kind of plumping gloss. They don't have this color anymore, but they have others that plump the lips. And I have my Charlotte Tilbury Foxy Brown lip liner on. I set my face with the Kat Von D setting spray. So that's the important pieces that I use to create my makeup look. Let's talk about what I'm feeling so far, and then I will wear this for the rest of the day. It is now 3 o'clock. It's taken me all that time just to complete the makeup look. All week I have loved the foundation, guys. I'll go ahead and tell you guys that I have loved it all week. I'm gonna film one more video and then I plan to leave and go out. I'm interested to see how it'll wear today because all week it has been fantastic. The one thing, and I mentioned earlier that I was gonna tell you guys, the one thing that it has done that I have loved about it, it is not broken apart and it has worn very long. It has held up throughout my work day better than many of the foundations that I wear. I can't say for sure as far as comparing it to other foundations, because sometimes, whatever you're wearing, you think that's the best thing you've ever worn. And then when you go back to something else, you think that about that as well. But I remember the first time I wore it, at the end of my work day, I went in the mirror and I was like, wow, it still looks really good. And I think around lunchtime, when I would normally kind of be touching up my face, I didn't feel the need to touch up. So I touched up a lot less with this foundation, and it stayed looking perfect a lot longer than some of my other foundations. It just held up longer. So even though it's medium coverage and it's not, covering some of the areas, it's okay for your skin to peep through sometimes. It lasts all day and wears very beautifully all day. The most I have to do sometimes is just touch up my nose a little bit, and that's it. And it just usually looks really good for longer. So far as I've been wearing it, it has been amazing foundation, and I certainly feel like it is worth the $68 price tag. So let's see how it wears throughout the rest of the day, and I will check in with you guys later and let you know my final thoughts about this foundation. This was after my handbag video, guys, so I'm in a different shirt. I forgot to mention the ounces. There's 1.18 fluid ounces of this foundation. So you get a little bit more than you normally get. And it's usually a 1 ounce. So it's a little bit over 1 ounce, which makes sense since it's so runny and you actually kind of use a little bit more with each application, or at least I do. I'm loving how I'm looking. I can't stop looking at myself. Oh my gosh. I like this foundation. I like it a lot. I zoomed in just for some photographs, but since I have zoomed in, remember this is after about 3 hours of wear, This is what the foundation looks like zoomed in. I have a lot of light on, so you know, you see some glare from the light. That's not normally gonna look like that in daylight. Just so it doesn't glare so much, I turn down the fluorescent light. So I'm back and it is now 9 p.m. I started applying this at 1. So it's been on for about 8 hours. It's like 9:10. So, okay. So 8 hours of wear. This time I have my matte blotting paper by NYX. So we're going to try that out really quick. We're going to blot first and then I'll zoom in so that you guys can take a closer look at the foundation. Okay. So it's not unusual for me to get oily if I don't touch up at all. It just happens. So this is what my little blot paper looks like, covered, but not a lot of the foundation transferred. It's just kind of a little, but it did absorb the oil. So let's zoom in and then we'll blot some more with powder. So now we're up close and personal. It did get oily in my T-zone, or kind of everywhere, but mostly in my T-zone. But as you can tell, the finish is still beautiful. After 8 hours and no touch-up, the finish of the foundation is still beautiful. It looks like skin. Like it looks like my skin, but better. All of the other products that I put on top of the foundation are still there. You still see the highlighter, you still see blush and bronzer. The concealer still looks good. Like I have absolutely no complaints about the foundation. The key for me is, does the foundation kind of break down right here? And as you can tell, it hasn't. Like it's still there. And a lot of times this kind of starts to crumble. And it looks good. I think it looks great. So now what I'm going to do this time, I usually like use translucent powder to blot, but I brag about my Mack blot powder so much that I decided to just bring this one over and blot a little bit. I decided to use this to blot with today because I always talk about it on my channel. And I just love how it looks once I blot with this. So this again is the Mack blot powder. This one is in dark, but they do have it in lighter shades. Mack is what I'm saying. If you can't understand that, it is Mack Cosmetics blot powder, okay? So this is how we look now with a little bit of blot powder. Isn't that really pretty, guys? Go ahead, Auntie Pat, Mother Pat. Go ahead, Pat. With a little bit of blotting and touch up or whatever, we can go another 8 hours. So overall, I love the foundation. Remember, my shade is a little bit light for me. So if you're my complexion and you're looking for a shade reference, I would say to go a little bit darker than this. The shade 18 is medium with neutral / olive undertones. So I'm usually neutral. So if you're looking for a shade reference, I would look at maybe 1 or 2 shades darker than this one that are neutral olive. Medium 21 is medium with neutral olive undertones. So that shade might have been a little bit closer match for me than the one I chose. But I'm going to stick with this one because I don't feel like returning it. Alright guys, so yes, I love this foundation. It's wonderful. It's a very beautiful, soft, natural finish. The medium coverage is okay. I do wish that there was a little more coverage for some of my areas where I may need some coverage, but I'll just use a skin colored concealer. It's still beautiful even though it's medium coverage, but if you like a full face beat, then you're going to want to try something else besides this one. I think that it's still a beautiful finish, but it's definitely not full coverage, and I'm not sure if it will build up to full coverage or not and still look good, because that's not its intent, you know. I think she knocked it out of the park with this one. I love it, and I definitely recommend it to you guys. It is a little bit pricey, but certainly worth it. Certainly worth it if you like really great, long-lasting, beautiful foundation. I'd love to know your thoughts on the foundation. If you've already tried it, just let me know what you think about it as well. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I'll respond to you as soon as I can. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button before you leave. So I'll be seeing you guys again very soon in my next video. So until the next time we meet again, this is Savvy, signing out.